You're listening to Mark Langley's Horsemanship Podcast, a podcast helping people to understand their horses better, to provide solutions in a calm, connected way. I'm Jenny Langley.
And I'm Mark Langley.
This is a podcast where every week I ask Mark horse-related questions that have come in from our online members. They cover a range of topics from practical training to navigating challenges. This week, our questions are on a little bit of psychology, one of Mark's favourite topics. They include: should a horse owner be worried by their horse having a lack of expression? Do horses have bad days, or is it just a hole in our training? And can you soften a young, inquisitive horse? Let's start with the Gypsy Cob Cross, who has a little expression. Mark, you've seen some videos of this horse that the owner sent through for you. Can you just describe what this horse looks like so that listeners can get an idea of what we're dealing with here before we go into the details of the question?
Yeah, so there's some videos, like groundwork videos, in and out of the arena or in and out of the round yard. One was a belly roping lesson where she was just leading the horse along with a belly rope, and the horse is going along relatively no expression, moving forward to the belly rope, but very sort of robotic in what it looks like. The other one was outside, and outside the horse was travelling and obviously noticeably paying more attention to the environment and thinking about things. His ears were moving as he was processing what was coming up and stuff, which was good. So being outside was helping the horse come out and have to do more things. And there was another flag lesson where she was kind of exposing him to a little bit of flag and just showing us how dull he was and bothered by the flag, which can be good, but in some respects you want a horse to respond and search to different stimulants.
Okay, so this particular horse is just mainly standing there, not a lot of blinking, not a lot of ear movement, and certainly not moving. I got the impression his feet were well and truly planted in the ground. Yeah. What is it that you're looking for in a horse, really briefly, when you're sort of working to do things with them?
Well, I'm looking at so when we add any form of direction, whether it be through the feel of a rope, even when we're walking and a horse gives us a little space, like I encourage people not to drive horses away all the time, but sometimes when we're walking we swivel in a different direction and walk in that direction. That horse can step back, look in the direction we're going and think. So what I'm looking for when I'm having a conversation through feel with a horse, is it actively searching, thinking? Is it processing the pressure? Does it like if you're riding a horse and you pick up the left rein, does that left ear flick back and notice the left rein, and then does the horse kind of start to search left and, think in that direction, or is it just kind of like steering left, looking very robotic, just moving away from pressure? So, yeah, you really want a horse to be constantly thinking and engaged and searching and going towards its thoughts, because if they're not going towards their thoughts, then they just move away from pressure and they can get very stale, very, heavy, and then this is where people have to go to like, I need to ride in spurs all the time because my horse is lazy. You need more pressure to carry it because the horse is not getting carried by its own desire. It's just getting pushed along like a heavy wheelbarrow. Yeah,
because one of the terms that you use a lot is perpetual motion, isn't it? Where you get a horse who just travel continuously in that direction and you're not having to ask it to keep going. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like one of the ideals I know that you've mentioned before in previous podcasts. Right, so if that's sort of what you're aiming for, a thinking sort of active-minded horse, is that what we had? Did you see that in the videos or no?
No, the only thing that was making the horse a little bit, thoughtful was the environment. So it could be concerned about things because there's more stimulant coming up. And the problem is, horses will go out and they will be stimulated by the environment, but if they're not stimulated in a more closed environment, I guess, if we can't interrupt their thought, change their thought in that kind of closed environment, like an arena that's a bit stale and horse has been there quite a few times, then if we can't interrupt them and change their thought when an outside stimulant scares them or draws them, like other horses are galloping off, because we haven't been able to motivate change of thought and interrupt them successfully in that kind of stale environment, then basically we can't interrupt them outside. So then what will happen is the environment stimulates and creates changes of thought, but we can't because we haven't been able to in that learning environment that had no stimulant.
So you just backtracking, this particular horse that was a little bit dull, I suppose, wasn't moving a lot, didn't flick its ears a lot unless it was outside. That was a horse that was, how would you describe?
I'd say he looked a bit internalised, you know, like the flag lesson, when you had the flag around his face and around his eyes and stuff, he just looked like he was a bit disgruntled by it, but he just kind of went still and he put up with it. He didn't look like he was like eyes on sticks, frightened and frozen, you know, when horses freeze and they just don't know what to do. He just looked like, oh, I'm just going to be a bit grumpy and shell up.
So the owner says he seems to move like a robot with very little expression, but he seems comfortable, not twitchy. So it's not like he's afraid of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like a lot of those cold blood gypsy types and even others, like I've got a, you know, little starter I'm working at the moment, has a very similar expression. I have used the outside environment to help him think, but I've also been very, very careful to make sure he knows how to steer and think into a rein. At least I had some foundation on him that if he does get a spook or something, I can sort of get him back. So there are a lot of horses that I train that I use the outside environment to help them stay open, but I still have to establish at least some things that have said, hey, can I get you back? You know, can I interrupt that, and are you happy to follow a rein? So yeah, you might not in an arena, like even a lot of young horses, I've got a small undercover now that I'm using, and very quickly, if they're safe enough, I'll be out in a bigger area because that gives them more desire, more let's go somewhere. As long as you've been able to guide them in the other area or get them back, then the outside area gives them, that bit more desire to keep going.
So one of the questions that this lady has from Australia is, should she be worried about underlying stress or safety when she starts riding him? Perhaps should she be doing something else now to get him to search more and get his ears more?
Like in all three of the lessons, like the belly roping lesson, you only showed me a glimpse of it, so you know, you might be doing this, but what I tend to do when I see horses like that, I'll wake them up a little bit more. So when I use the belly rope, I will be a little bit spontaneous with it. I will come in a little bit unexpected sometimes and put a bit of a shock in it to say, so they go, well, where did that come from? What happened? And then you go away with the pressure a bit, then you come in soft. Because what happens is we become a bit repetitive and they get used to our repetition. Yeah, my horse is moving forward to the belly rope, and they just go around like they're like, you know, they know the answer to the question. So by bringing back a little bit more caution and that unknown in the horse, they start to go, oh, what should I do? And they get more feely and they get more searchy. So you're not it's the reason why I might clap my hands suddenly or kick a drum or rattle a fence, because I'm trying to say to the horse that stay awake. You know, we don't know what's going to happen next. This could be like the outside environment where kangaroos jump. So you're trying to wake them up and say things are a little bit unpredictable. And I know people don't want to seem unpredictable when they train horses, but we're throwing them into an unpredictable sort of world and environment when we operate them and stuff. So we don't want to be unpredictable, but sometimes we want to kind of wake them up with the pressure. Like even the flag, when he's kind of zoned out a little bit, I would sort of do something very random very quickly to make him jump a little bit and go, oh, and you see the blink, I need to pay attention. So what I've done at clinics is I've gone really big once, the horse has got a little bit concerned or a fair bit concerned, and then I've gone really quiet and I said, now, can I ask you this question again? And they start to become more receptive to feel, opposed to we're kind of carrying them with pressure all the time. So it doesn't matter if you're using a belly rope or my techniques versus someone who taught you to sort of chase a horse around with a flag. Driving horses can be just carrying a horse. So you can drive a horse with a belly rope by just carrying it with that pressure all the time, and the horse just moving away from the pressure, not going towards its thoughts. So driving pressure can be you using the legs on a dull horse to keep them going, so you're driving them along. They're not got perpetual motion. They haven't got perpetual motion because they're not thinking or going towards their thoughts. They're just thinking on the pressure, and as soon as the pressure goes away, they just stop. So yeah, you have to, you know, wake your horse up a little bit more. Sometimes be a little bit more random, you know, like just so the horse has to have more responsibility, not just we're responsible for everything. And I think when we're very patterned and very methodical in our training, the horse gets used to that, and then we just end up too predictable.
Is it a case of testing your horse? You know, like if you can see that your horse is putting up with or is comfortable with a certain level of what you're doing, what's the point? Sort of saying, don't keep doing it. I suppose you've got to change it. So is it that we test them, we go to their limits, we go to the next level? Can they put up with the next amount of pressure?
Well, yeah, you are expanding. Like the ultimate aim is the pressure that we provide, they're comfortable with, but we constantly see an interactive thought process where the horse is thinking about things like...
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the limit. There's no point going too far so that they have a reaction. You're wanting to just open them up, wake them up, stimulate them.
Yeah, wake them up. Like usually you can tell when a horse is not searching because they go quite still, quite dull. Everything goes a bit like stops. Like when I'm saddling the youngsters, like a couple of hours that we bred, like, one was a little bit tight in the saddle, the other one was a bit antsy, I'd say, with the saddle. Not so tight, but just a bit more like, I don't really like that. Whereas the other one froze a little bit. But every day that I saddle them, the one that froze a little bit could freeze more every day and just become frozen as I saddle her. But you watch her and she's breathing, she's thinking, she's telling me I'm a bit uncomfortable there, so I back off a little and I wait and then I go up again. The whole time she's having a conversation because she's able to show and express how she feels. And then she'll come around and sniff me while I'm saddling her and stuff like that. And the other one's the same, like they sniff. They're constantly kind of in the conversation with, they're not just standing there going, just putting up with all this. I wonder when it's dinner time. Sort of thing. So you're constantly watching the breathing, the in and out, the breathing, that, they might take a bit of a tight breath and then they might breathe out and they might go, you can tell there's things going on in there that you're making them uncomfortable or they're getting comfortable. You'll see the nice soft eye movement, you'll see the ear flick, when you swap sides of the horse and you might be doing something on the other side, you see that ear come around and just process what you're doing back there. But if you're seeing none of that, then the horse is sort of just starting to go la 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 la. And the problem with la 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 is you might suddenly accidentally girth up too tight and then lead your horse into a trot, and then it bucks and goes, how did I get teleported into this situation because I've been asleep for the last 5 minutes? So you don't want to teleport your horse to some scary environment because they missed the whole lesson and then woke up when it got tough.
Okay, all right, that's fantastic. I hope that really helps. Anuka, we're going to move on to the next question. It's from Mark, who is in Australia as well. But he's got a completely the opposite horse, I suppose. It's a green youngster, really and quite bold. Now, when he sees something ahead that he isn't sure of, he will initially pause, so I guess he's thinking about it, but then he gets quite strong and he marches towards it to investigate it. Other times he's soft and responsive. Mark would like to know, do you have any tips on how you can soften that strong forward movement? Because I guess Mark's wanting him to be in that thinking frame of mind always. Yeah, right?
So you've got the horses that internalise, introvert, whatever, and don't search, and they're not very impulsive until they get a big fright. Then you've got the impulsive horses. So when I talk about caution and curiosity, it's like the yin and the yang. It's like the balance of good and evil. So each one of those, caution can be a problem, curiosity can be a problem, but if they have the right mix, they're both good. They're both good elements. Okay, so curiosity without caution becomes impulsive behaviour. Like, I'm going to go and eat that hay. I'm going to kick that horse, and that horse kicked me first, and I've got a broken leg. How did I not read that? Those sorts of things. I'm going into a horse float, and then the horse float moves, and the horse panics and go, I wasn't ready for that. So that is impulsive curiosity. Curiosity is, I'm going into the horse float and this is really scary, something could go wrong and I'm going to be prepared for it, okay? So that's the difference. Now, some horses are very bold, like there might be the bold horse that investigates in a herd and all the others go, we're glad we got you. But in a riding situation and around us, you have to teach those impulsive, bold horses that they have to still work in with boundaries. And I'm just going to tell a little story of many, many years ago at a clinic. And it's just a silly little story, but you'll understand the meaning once I tell it. So we're out, and when I first started doing clinics in Glen Innes, I used to actually take groups out onto our property. We had quite a bit of good country to ride on, and rivers and dams, and all the horses were around this quite big dam having a drink. And then one horse decided it was going to splash, and it started splashing, and the lady sitting on it had a laugh, and she goes, I like to let my horse express itself and have a play, and I sort of just, kept drinking. But then what happened is all the other horses joined in and they're all splashing. And, I had to sort of pull them up because at some point one horse was going to probably go in and roll in the water and then we got a drowned person. But anyway, so we're riding along, and about 20 minutes later, we're just all riding along as a group, and a horse just went up past her horse, and that same horse that was pouring the water and playing in the water, it spun around and double barreled the horse that rode up sort of just passed it, just like bang, double barreled it. And I rode up beside her and I quietly said to her, it's nice to let your horse express itself, isn't it? So what I was saying to her was subtly was, it's all good and well and it's all very cute when the horse is doing something playful, like, oh, I'm going to roll in the sand right now. And we all laugh and we get our iPhones out and, do a video of it. But then all of a sudden that impulsive horse has a hard thought and it just acts on it without any warning. Okay, so impulsive behaviour is impulsive behaviour, whether it's cute and cuddly impulsive behaviour. Oh, look at the horse playing with the ball, isn't that fun? Look at the horse just chasing that other horse over a fence. Okay, an impulsive person might take their clothes off and run around the street when they're having a party, and that impulsive person might be in a fight the next day and go to jail. It depends if they're angry or they're happy. Same with horses, okay? So it doesn't matter what the reason is, we have to put boundaries on impulsive behaviour. So what you want to do with your horse is you want to say, okay, next time you've got an impulsive, strong thought, I'm going to interrupt that thought until I can interrupt your thoughts very softly, and then I'm going to teach you how to go towards your thoughts slower and more cautiously, so you just can't have that when you think you want it. So that's why in normal training I would suggest doing a lot more interrupt the thought. And just on that subject, just the horse I'm just starting now, an Appaloosa horse, I had a question on a podcast 6 months ago. He just randomly rolls and he just gets so impulsive, and I've noticed that now because now I'm working him, he gets a bit hot and sweaty. This is the same horse that I'm breaking in at the moment, that I'm starting. And sure enough, I was up the hill the other day and we got out of the forest, and I said to the person with me, I said, he's just tapped out. I said, I can feel it. There's something that's going on, but I just felt his brain just leave because he was going really softly. And I thought, I think and it was only grass, it wasn't sand. I think if I sort of let him, he wants to go and sniff that, and then he might want to roll. And I've forgotten completely about the question about him wanting to roll until I was reminded about it. But anyway, we get down the hill and we go past his gate, and all of a sudden, undersaddle, he just taps out and goes, that's my gate. And it took me a good 5 minutes to get back into his head and get him to ride past the gate and go, oh, we don't stop here. And that was his impulsive behaviour, just tapping in as soon as he saw his gate, which he gets let out in, and then he rolls. But the whole time I've been starting him, I have been working on his impulsive behaviour and, putting him in the long reins before I ride him out and stuff, and making sure that he's soft and centred and very interruptible. And now it's made him easy to ride out, cope outside, but you can tell when he goes, I need to do that, he checks out very easily. So it's my job to make sure he doesn't do that, and it's your job with your horse to make sure that if you see any impulsive behaviour where they just check out and go, I need to do that, well, you make sure you can interrupt that till they're centred again, thoughtful, and then say, now guide with a feel and have a constant conversation with me. So if I need to interrupt you, I can. Okay, so that's all you've really got to.
How do those sorts of horses feel about being interrupted? Does it annoy them?
Every horse feels good. A horse that's got impulsive behaviour feels bad. If we can't interrupt their thought, they feel bad because we're holding them back from something that they want to do all the time. Okay, so it's like, I want to be over there, so for 2 hours we're holding them back while they're thinking about home, or we're holding them back while they're thinking about the horses that are ahead that they want to go with. So they spend a life really, really stressed. So if we've interrupted their thought, they've stopped thinking about what they wanted to do. So it'd be like someone looking out the window at all their friends on a Friday afternoon having a cold beer, and they're still in the office working. They'd be staring out the window going, oh, and their work would get worse and worse and worse until someone closes the blind on the window, resets their brain, and they just focus on what they need to do. The horses are simple like that, and people can be very simple like that. All you need to do is get them to snap out of that thought, and when that's not there anymore, well, they're in the moment, and when they're in the moment, they're not stressed. So impulsive horses have grown up without as many boundaries like children. A lot of them haven't had a really good, healthy herd experience with lots of interactions with other horses and boundaries that they have to respect and stuff like that. A lot of impulsive horses are like bottle-raised horses. Lots of those ones are really just, they just have what they want when they want. There's no boundaries, and they get really stressed when they're confused. So if you look at a horse that's grown up in a very healthy big herd, or wild horses, they're so good with awareness, boundaries and everything like that they actually can be easier to train than the well-handled horse that's, just grown up with its mum and its owners.
Very interesting. Last question for this session is a question that's from Carla from Germany. and it's about horses having bad days. I'm sure we can all relate to this. She'd like to know, do horses have bad days where we should just let them be, or is it always a hole in our training that we should use for more training?
Well, I say both. I'm not going to sort of pigeonhole this too much, but the better I've become at understanding mindset on horses, the less bad days I have. So once upon a time, I used to sort of come home and talk to G about good day, bad day. Oh, that horse had a good day, bad day.
Yep.
And I've noticed recently that, you know, even having this batch of horses back in work when I'm doing it more professionally, as in I'm working the horse every single day of the week except for weekends, and I do give them the weekends off. Sometimes, you know, it's nice to catch up or something, but I believe they need that headspace. And I believe every horse is coming in pretty good. The only ones that might have a good day, bad day is when we've had some sticky areas that we're working on. Or they're all coming in pretty good. And there might be a bit of a bad day here or a bit of a thing, but it's not like you see this real up and down in their mood, okay? So I'm starting to realise that so bad days can happen from lots of things, and there's lots of things that we don't know about in horses. You know, have you ever asked your horse, does it have a headache? It's like, how does a horse communicate a headache to us? It could be just a bit sour or whatever. And how bad do horse headaches get? It's not really something we know. You know, it's not something we can read or understand. You know, are they feeling a bit funny in the tummy? Are they getting ulcers? Are they having a bad day in the herd, or they like, you know, some horses that are real troubled in the herd, or their environment outside work is like, I'm the bottom of the pecking order, and I've had a couple of bad days where I've been pushed, and then it might have had a couple of good days. So that whole experience is gonna sort of you know, unfold into a good day, bad day syndrome. If you leave your horse, what I've found is when I used to train in a more personal fashion, you know, my energy, my kumbaya was all kind of, you know, all mixed into one with the horse, and we're all going on some romantic journey. Not that I really went down that road too much, but now I keep training very simple. This is you learning how to follow a feel. This is me coming up and give you a scratch. I keep it very, you know, I'm teaching you how to do this. It's not personal. It's not me carrying you with my energy, and it's sort of like all this. I find horses can go through pressure, but it's never personal. I can go and visit them in the paddock, and they catch every single day. I don't have to catch them with feed, and they come up soft. Like, oh, g'day Mark, how you going? And I'm surprised how much pressure you can put a horse through and then still go and catch them the next day, and they're still happy to be caught. So this is all going into the same.
Very telling.
Yeah, and so, but basically I do try through all my lessons I find something I'm working on and I try and fix it. Like one day I said to the lady who's helping, I said, I won't ride this horse out today because we've had a really good day travelling, and I really need to work on this rein problem. So I can just work in this small environment and work on that. Then because I worked on that one little area and made like what I thought was a shift where the horse really understood it, then the next day got on, the horse felt really nice in the reins, and we go out for another ride. I didn't overload with a lot of things, and it's almost like I finished the concrete before it's set. You know, I finished it, got it smooth, so the next day there's a nice concrete slab. So sometimes also we can finish halfway through a brace or something, and the horse comes in, it hasn't quite understood it, it's still a bit lost, and the next day might feel a bit worse. That's another thing you have to think about, and that's holes in training. It's not necessarily a hole in training. It could be just you did too many things and didn't quite finish one of those things. So sometimes pick an argument. Sorry, that's a bad way of saying it, but pick a problem that you think's a worthy problem but can be fixed, and just work on it. Like, go back to that simple blokemanship, one thing at a time. Don't have 3 problems on the cooker and have a horse come back with 3 half-solved problems the next day and still being lost. Yeah. And that can cause good day, bad day syndrome.
Yeah, because I know when our son has had struggled in maths and he's come home and it's like, I hate it, I hate everything about maths, and you just know that he's lost a thread at some point in that lesson and he spent a whole hour struggling. That's when he's not happy. Is it would be the same?
It'd be exactly the same as.
Okay.
And also, like, you know, like an example is there's a mare that's got a split in the sole at the moment, and I've been giving her some antibiotics because I want to sort of rule out the fact that there's any infection getting into the foot. And she's a lovely mare to catch every single day, and every single day I work her rider, but I've had to just go out and catch her over the weekend and give her a needle, and she was okay about the needle, but she didn't like when you're injecting. So you have to be careful when you inject, because she's very sensitive. She's an Arab mare. And today was the first day she walked away 3 or 4 steps and said, I don't know if I want to be caught, because her last memory was me injecting her. Okay,
the last few memories, yeah.
Yeah, the last few memories, because that's all I went out, because she wasn't in work. Had I caught her, injected her, or caught her, did something else, and halfway through injected her and then did a bit more and then let her go, the catching and the needling wouldn't be such a strong association. But yeah, I catch her and work her, and sometimes that work's stressful, because obviously they're young, they're learning, they're going through different, processes, they're going out, there's lots of things, and it's all under your jurisdiction. But yeah, as long as you can sort of cut things off, make things kind of a little bit finished in those lessons so the horse feels good about it, then you have less of those bad days.
And those lessons involve them thinking and being open to things. So I'm going to just very briefly give you the example that Carla's had, because I think that's actually going to frame this in a slightly different way for people as well and make it quite relevant for them. She said that she has followed your training videos, but there are days that he can cope quite well, although it feels like obedience more than understanding. And it feels like he's got it, only to be disappointed that he's had a relapse the next day. And specifically what she's been doing is, and this is a 5-year-old gelding, he's not able to deal with a snapping plastic bag. Have you got any ideas what may be going wrong with that specific lesson?
Yeah, it's a hard one to know, but I think if he's still worried, whether there's been something, so sometimes we have a lesson that goes a bit pear-shaped. We didn't want it to, we didn't expect it to, it went a bit pear-shaped, the horse was left with a bad, like fear memory or something like that, not a super bad one. Like an example of a bad fear memory is when a horse rug bolts and just panics, then next time you can't get a rug on it. So, there's something in his, so I've got some horses that sometimes you can flick a rope over them but crack a whip, the noise, they've panicked. Other horses you can crack a whip but you can't flick a rope because the things coming at their eyes scare them more than their ears. And they'll have some horses that certain sounds scare them more than what they see. And it's just the way the cookie crumbles with different horses. But I think I would sort of pick what you think are his biggest struggles. Like, you're probably thinking, right, I've got him ridden, I've got to have these things ticked off to ride out, but he's still worried about a flag behind the right eye or the popping sound of it. Or, so that could translate to a raincoat, on a rainy, windy day when it's flapping. He's still sticky in this area. I try and sort of find out the main core problem that the horse is struggling with. You've really got to think about it. Like the other day, one of the mares here, she's sticky in the lead rope, and I knew that she also runs away from the flag a bit when she has a bit of a problem behind her eye. I went out, I got a sweat up myself, and I led her for 40 minutes until all that head brace went away and she had a big shift. I came back in, put the flag behind her, it wasn't an issue anymore because that leading and that brace, she got into the right mindset, so the flag wasn't such a problem. So and then I got on her and rode her because everything in that leading led to her feeling for me that it was safe to get on her. Had I not done that 40 minutes leading, I would have done all these other lessons of rocking the saddle and stepping up and putting a flag behind her, but there was a block in her that the rope wasn't helping her enough to soften and travel nicely, so I had to fix that. And that's, Carla, the hardest thing about training and being a trainer is you've got to work out, pick the worst problem. Like it'd be like, a general in the army saying, what's our worst problem? Don't bother about that one now. We need to fix that one over there, because if we don't fix that, we'll be trying to do that, and this one's going to come and get us. So pick something that the horse is struggling with the most. It could be that flag, it could be a block in the lead rope, it could be anything, and just work on it till the horse owns the softness that comes with that question. They own it. What do I mean they own it? You don't have to keep showing them. Every time you pick up that rope, they know that it's their responsibility to be soft in that, not your responsibility to soften them every day. And if you've got a lot of little kind of like pots on the cooker with a horse that aren't quite cooked, then you'll get a horse that's sort of, going back to good day, bad day, and they'll start to get overwhelmed, they'll get confused, and then suddenly you'll have them, looking like they don't understand anything, because all it takes is another worry to get tipped into their cup for them not to be a little bit, and that little bit of confusion about all the different things that they're learning, that would start to kind of overwhelm them a bit.
Sounds like some great tips. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much, Mark. We'll be back next week with some more questions. I hope you can join us then.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody.
The accurate insights and solutions that Mark Langley gives are at the forefront of emotive horsemanship globally. You can learn them for yourself through his supportive online membership. Check it out with a 7-day free trial. marklangley.com